Hi everyone, welcome to Authentic Ingenuity Entrepreneur. My name is Mina Crichton. I'm just going to continue from the video clip that I released yesterday. So today's date is actually the 3rd of September 2025. So yesterday's topic was in regards to suicide or suicidal. Okay, and then I gave my testimony in regards to my current relationship with the real Henry Cavill and myself. Okay, so also I'm going to continue with this because it's all relevant information from straight from the mouth of the person that has gone through what I have gone through personally. It is also for my court case, and that's been pending unlawfully for over 9 years, but it's because of the new age system that is actually global. It's taken a long time to actually realize the reality of what I have been used for illegally. Also putting everything together in one profile, being all about my entity and my personal testimony and my personal legal rights as an individual. So I am legally a New Zealand citizen. Okay, so everything about me I know without a shadow of doubt. Once it goes through the criminal process my way or the way I'm doing it, I can actually prove legally that everything that people have used me for, they've all broken laws without consent. Okay, so we're dealing, it is a trafficking ring that I'm subject to historically, and now I can prove that. We're dealing with a left behind case, or all started from privacy breaches. And so, you know, the way the laws have changed too, it's quite serious. So meaning the laws are actually changed to accommodate trafficking individuals or trafficking people selected for what I've gone through. It is definitely a dehumanizing of a human being. It is definitely a global game. Okay, it's a money laundering global game. And we're talking like other people in government. These people are described as agents or hosts or sponsors. Okay, so we don't know who these people are, but they seem to like to do everything secret, obviously, because to do what they're actually doing, they have to be able to move around without getting caught or being made accountable for any wrongdoing, because they've basically got the freedom to do what they're doing secretly just by using misuse of devices, locking people out, and then operating through other humans in your environment. This is consistent also with the public scrutiny. It's pure money laundering. The danger is the originals that they're actually stealing from. Their motive and intent is to actually eliminate them. Right? So in this case, I'm using the relationship issue. There's quite clear there. That is what I've been used for. Okay, so Henry knows that I'm using all this on my social media platform because of my court case, and also for safety wise for myself and him, for the correct people to intervene. Okay, so I'll just continue. So the first instance, obviously, he is definitely a celebrity. He's also a public figure. Okay, and I've been exploited. I'm also being used secretly for years by other government officials. For, you know, in the beginning, I believe their intentions were, you know, to watch over me or whatever they want to call it, surveillance me and stuff as a more of a protection. But as time have gone past, you know, people have been breaking laws, and I have been consistent putting in complaints because I knew my liberty and my dignity was, the way I was getting abused in the moment was not right, and I didn't understand a lot of it. So usually it's because a breach has taken place. Eventually you do end up exploited, and that's what's happened to me. So everything about myself is all affected. My personal property, being my medical records, my employment records, court records, police records, dental records, all the data, everything about me is now damaged. Okay, and people have actually used me and secretly stolen because they know I'm exploited. So obviously, I believe the first laws that should be, treated serious is privacy. Obviously, the privacy laws, because it's not fun being exploited globally. But I didn't know when it first happened that I was being secretly exploited globally. But the evidence on my profile can actually prove that. So I try and keep this video clip short, but I think it's really relevant to do this because I know that everyone is watching me on my YouTube channel and my Facebook page too, because I've submitted that as evidence, right? So I'm basically describing the game. Okay, my intention is I want this game polished. I just feel I'm within my space to do what I'm doing. I do not fear death, and I do not fear the devil or the opposing allies. This has been going on for so long. I'm so used to it. So I just know how serious it is coming from, on a professional level as far as criminology is concerned, okay? The seriousness is just, I believe it could be even one of the most serious cases in New Zealand because of the home invasion and global. And, I've been used for relationship scams like an app, and also as a product to promote other people. So I'm just a survivor of a trafficking ring. So basically what I'm dealing with now is fabricated evidence. I've been contesting the unlawful strikes written by the judges because I know without a shadow of doubt the evidence is not true and it is against the Crown, and we have our rights as any citizen to oppose anything that we feel is not right, and that's all part of integrity. Okay, so obviously the defendant in my case is the Crown, and I'm opposing everything they're saying or written about me, and I've even been denouncing them in my other video clips because I'm fighting for my liberty, I'm fighting for my rights, and I'm standing against that. Okay, no one is above the law. And so that includes me, okay, that includes anyone. It doesn't matter who they are in Crown or whatever position, they all know, or most of them do, and if they don't know, that's on them. But, that's why we have laws for everyone to be made accountable for. It's also to make sure that their services are not being operating in bad faith. So it's either in good faith or bad faith. Spiritually speaking, that is what it's supposed to be. I know that in the criminal side of things, it's quite morbid, but that is because, obviously if there's corruption or wrongdoing or murder or serious offences, it is morbid. And you'd find in a criminal court case, if you've ever gone to one, everything is repetitive. The evidence is repetitive. Why? Because the focus is to make sure that the evidence is 100% accurate, cannot be challenged. The whole idea of judges, making decisions, or barristers making decisions, they have to know everything. Everything has to be accurate for the very reason to make sure that the right person is made accountable, to make sure we've got the serial murderers or the serial cyber criminal groups, so it doesn't affect society and affect other people. That's the whole idea of making sure the evidence is accurate. So I am opposing all the fabricated evidence against the Crown and several other agencies who've used me like a slave against my will. So when this happens, keeping in mind, guys, I worked for the government, so we're dealing with internal corruption. We're dealing with people monitoring and inciting. There's sufficient evidence that my case, if there was ever a category to actually categorize in the criminal sense, from 1 to 10, what's happened to me is over above 10, because they did an illegal scientific experiment. They have stolen off me. They have animated me. So everything's illegal. I'm the original of my whole life, and I have not, consented for people to do what they've done to me. Okay, so it's a serious case. But when that happens, fabricated evidence or contempt of court has already committed, meaning those within fiduciary duty or those in government jobs, they've committed perjury of some sort, whether perjury is done in orally, or perjury is done in written, or perjury is done in acts. Okay, so that's why I've been denouncing everything, and I know it's working, because a lot of people do things without even realizing they're breaking some pretty serious laws. And we're talking about a global game. We're talking about, people making free money off innocent civilians. Okay, these agents, these sponsors. I mean, some of these people, some of these singers, they've got billions and trillions of money, and whatever you want to call it. Okay, but they're actually making money using their lyrics like a game. That's illegal unless that person has consented to it. I have not been consented to it. I have been the competition to take out. And oh gosh, I can't believe I'm still alive to even talk about it. But every day I feel stronger, and I know that God wanted me to do this. Whether I live or die, I just know I have His favor 100%, okay? Because you're either innocent civilian or your motive intent is evil. You can't be both. So my case currently is still pending. The court case is coming up, and I will finish off this video clip just updating everyone in the moment with what's going on at court and my communication with those handling my file. Okay, so keep in mind, it's a global game. Okay, they even have the guts to show me they're pissed off when I know I'm winning. Okay, it's all linking to my court case. I mean, I've noticed this for a few years. I couldn't click to it, why they were doing what they're doing. I mean, they have their ways of letting me know globally they're pissed off, okay, or making their threats. So that tells me somebody globally is targeting me. The scary thing is, I don't know who the hell they are. Well, I do have a fair idea which country, who's behind it, but it's taken a while for me to actually realize what our government was doing, what the allies were doing. I know I'm a pretty strong person emotionally, spiritually, and I also know I'm very intelligent. Okay, I'm not blowing my horn, but I think everyone now understands that I am, I do know what I'm talking about. I'm the real deal, the original. So I've been the competition, okay? Unfortunately, the reality is a lot of people have committed treason. They've actually used me to change the laws to make it difficult for New Zealanders to stand up for themselves. So there are people that have actually committed treason. And then my discovery with this new law system, it is set out to use people for pecuniary advantage. And the whole idea is to keep them financially in hardship, so then they cannot regain, and fight back legally, because obviously when people have money, the first thing you're going to do, you're going to make sure you get your justice. So that is what I'm up against. Okay, but espionage is still 14 years imprisonment. And in a very serious case like mine, all the competent criminal judges have to do is find out which country, find out who's behind it, who is the perpetrator, and they'll get arrested and they could be charged all these, what it's worth, the penalties for all this. Okay, so there's a clear pattern of that in my case. Okay, so they have actually locked me out, and they've actually stealing my intellectual property, making it their own. So anything that I do, and I'm talking about my documents for courts, anything like that's my work, that's my personal property. It doesn't belong to anyone else, nor have I given anyone else to use it for themselves. That alone is a criminal offence. Taking somebody's identity, changing it, and diverting it to somebody else, that's illegal. I have a reasonable belief that is what they're intending on doing with everything I'm doing. And that is why I'm in the position that I am at, fighting for my life. And so the opposing allies have been working hard out 24/7, defaming my character for the whole purpose to steal and, not be charged for conspiracy offences. But it is definitely a lockout situation for myself, and I'm being tagged, people are being tagged, and that's the situation I'm in. Okay, so what we're dealing with is bona fide, okay, in the legal terminology. Okay, so that those that don't know what it means, we're talking about, in a legal terminology, whether the facts that's written on paper are actually true or they're false. Okay. This is actually quite a serious case because I'm contesting the unlawful judgments. And I've spent quite a bit on reading judgments lately, and it's quite interesting case because I'm used to reading judgments. I did that, over the years in my career, and I'm pretty experienced. I can basically tell whether facts are actually true or there's something suspicious or not right about what people write, or I can tell straight away that the person is innocent or a victim. So I'm pretty, even reading, I can tell straight away. I'm very gifted in that area because of experience and just the gifts that God has blessed me with. So in the legal terminology, bona fide is a must, okay? It's integrity and honest, and the whole ideas of judges writing correct judgments or court deputy registrars, when they're operating in good faith, they don't want anything to backfire 10 years down the track, because it can. So whether no one does anything to help me now, if I don't make it, I've made sure that everything that I do and say is linked to my personal profile, and there's clear evidence I've been used for money laundering purposes by people that I've worked with, or whoever is doing the secret society thing. Globally, can be found out, because the danger is I found that they're committing the evidence and then they're covering up or deleting, or people leave the country. The thing is, I found over the years, even though have left the country, they're operating from wherever they are overseas, and they have coded me, and this allows the game their whole idea is that they don't want, what's happened to me historically be dug up, and they know that they'll go to prison for a very long time. Okay, so that is what they've done. They've just taken turns. So we're dealing with good faith or bad faith. After a lot of research, I'm actually a Christian, okay? That's my background, okay? But I have found people have done illegal scientific experiments on me without my consent, and they've all just taken turns using me and then pretending that I'm whatever nationality the women are being used for. And then others have just used me to promote themselves, and in other cultures, and I have just taken turns using me and making my life into a joke, but it's not a joke, okay? As you can tell from my voice, I'm a very serious mindset kind of a person. I'm mature, and in my kind of work that I'm used to, I do not find it funny that people are playing games with people's liberty while the actual original people are actually fighting for their life. Okay, so it's a very serious case. And just for a side note, I don't care who goes to prison. Okay, I just do not care who goes to prison. In fact, I want to make sure people are made accountable. So the courts know that my case has gone live. But because I used to be a court deputy registrar for the courts, I do know how the administration of a court deputy registrar operate and how they should operate, meaning that none of them has the right to do whatever they want. The whole idea is to uphold integrity, and not be biased or prejudiced. So even if they think they're doing a favour for their employer or their employer, the end of the day is they stand alone as a court deputy registrar. And all I need to do is prove that they're all trading in influence, and they're breaking the law. Okay, and they've taken away my privacy. They know very well, I mean, for a person to be turned into a global game, they need to tip off the public, and that's what they're doing. So I'm denouncing everything as things happen, and it is working. It tells me God has his favour on me because he knows I'm innocent. So we're talking about good faith, bad faith. So it doesn't matter if you work for your employer, you still have to uphold integrity for yourself and for the company. And that, as for the body corporate, if things like my kind of cases, the whole body corporate is made accountable for criminal offences. Okay, so if you're a yes ma'am kind of a person, a yes person, you are the perfect person. Whoever is your seniors, they're just using you. And that is what I found, that they are using inexperienced people all the time. It's a criminal tactic by those who are trying to stop anything legal to backfire on them. Okay, obviously. Okay, guys, so my YouTube channel is definitely an exhibit. Okay, it's an exhibit for all my court cases because it's all about me. All right, and I'm also the narrator of it. I've actually legally submitted that in court as an exhibit. Okay, so is my Facebook page. If I use other people's video clips, or if I put anything, it's only because I'm either using it as a reference or like an example to, just help people understand, because I know that unless you understand criminal procedure or the laws, it means nothing to the person who has nothing to do with that kind of environment. Okay, but it's best to have some kind of knowledge than not at all, because trafficking in persons and cybercrime is serious stuff. It's very serious. Okay, from a spiritual point of view, I'm dealing with corruption, I'm dealing with lying, I'm dealing with people who are willfully giving false evidence or false faith or false oath. Okay, so we're talking about bad faith, right? And so bad faith means everything is bad. We're dealing with an evil spirit in your environment. And the truth of the matter is a lot of people have disappointed me, okay? Literally. They look at me and pretend and talk kindly, but I know exactly their motive. So we're dealing with false statements. So if you're going to be a witness for court, or if you've submitted something to court that is false, that's bad faith, okay? So if you're actually legally under the law on oath, and you've acted on something and you know it's wrong, and it comes back and it points to the finger at you, that's bad faith. You are under oath, okay? That's contempt of court. I've noticed that they've split the legislation up, and they've even changed the wordings for contempt of court. But I'm talking about what actually contempt of court actually means as far as bad faith. Okay, we're dealing with bad faith. We're dealing with people with criminal motive and intent. So if you're willfully giving wrong information, willfully withholding information, or you don't want to, the criminal jurisdiction methods of making sure people are telling the truth or not, they have their ways, and they will find out. They can use lie detectors, conspiracy crimes. They have to, that's the kind of thing. They have to summons everybody to court, have to go under oath, and go whatever the criminal jurisdiction. They will, it's a serious thing, and you'll find the authoritative side of it if you do go to a criminal case. The criminal jurisdiction, competent criminal judges and crown lawyers, they have my mindset. Okay, so they trust me. They know what I'm talking about because I've worked with them. So this is what I am, and they're also learning the new age system that's so illegal. Okay. So we're dealing with bad faith. We're dealing with people lying to your face, okay? We're talking about people who speak kindly on the phone, but they're actually lying, or somebody else, posturing somebody else. We're talking about going to the courts, and registrars over the counter talk to you, and you know that they're either lying or they know nothing, or they're brand new, okay? So that's been my experience historically. And then I find out later on, I didn't know this for a very long time. I realized that they were using misuse of devices to defame me even more. So that's why I've gone through what I've gone through. But it is contempt of court. Okay, lying is contempt of court. Okay, deceiving the judge is contempt of court. There's no such thing as, you're inexperienced. The thing is, if you get under the umbrella of a real tough judge, they will not treat lying or submitting fraudulent documents lightly. Okay, and unfortunately in my case, I contest all the judgments made by the judges, and so it's either when it comes to an audit or a case like mine, the courts or the barristers and the courts would be audited separate, because even though they're all under the same umbrella, even though they're sharing information, when it comes to criminal stuff, everyone gets treated as an individual. The staff gets dealt with individually. The body corporates get dealt with individually. Okay, and you'll go to prison alone. So it's all about making the right decisions in the moment. Okay, when we're dealing with bad faith, we're dealing with about people who don't care. Okay, we're dealing about people who are greedy for fame, greedy for money. They don't care. Okay, they don't care. So what I've gone through is definitely serial. We're dealing with a serial Jack the Ripper kind of a case. All right. This also explains why people get executed. They've made those kind of threats in my space, and I've had to put video clips on my YouTube channel as proof of evidence, because I know it just needs to take the right person to see where I'm coming from and understand me, and then those people can get investigated, okay? Because publicly, no one should be doing that. No one should be in your space making death threats. They are using their cars as a weapon. Trust me, they are, okay? And unfortunately, our government's at fault because, yeah, everyone's got put their, they all know. They know what I'm talking about. So, the bad faith, these people are actually, the whole idea is to misuse the devices to deter and also to create fraudulent information or to make people believe a lie. Okay, so it's defamation's taken place orally and by these misuse of devices, and quite obviously it's working. Okay, the system's getting cleaned up because people do things they don't even know that they could go to prison, but I know it's working because they're slowly decreasing their tactics, but you'll never be safe if you're tagged. You've always got to stay alert, okay? So all it takes is a breach, treason, as we know if you're a Christian, you know your Bible. We know that, there was one person in his group, Jesus' group, that committed treason. So treason can be committed by members of your family, okay? But not only that, what I've gone through, they're recording everything I'm saying. I'm being globally monitored by somebody. So it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody in your family. I just know exactly what they're doing. They're listening to people, and then they're trying to divert into a what do you call it? A family violence. My case is definitely not family violence. Okay, we're talking about a global game here, so it's not my family, but everyone within the environment is being used, and they're listening, and then they're coding everyone. Okay, I'm able to detect it straight away because it's all about me, and so yeah. But we're talking about a two-faced criminal. They talk kindly to your face, and then behind your back, they're doing something different. Okay, but we know that. I don't know anyone more innocent than God's Son Jesus, because he was definitely innocent, and I'm not him either. Okay, I don't see myself anything comparison to him, but to Jesus I'm talking about. But I just believe my faith spiritually. I am a born again Christian. Yes, I've gone through quite a lot, and a lot of people, wouldn't agree. But I'm everything everybody wouldn't think. But I know in God's eyes, I'm everything perfect to Him, because I wouldn't be able to understand what I'm going through if I hadn't gone through what I've gone through. Okay, this is my journey. So you shouldn't actually be comparing yourself to somebody else. Okay, it doesn't work that way. You've got to find your own faith, your own journey, and be satisfied with yourself. Okay, but I have not been, I resent the fact that people have used me without my consent, and God's given me the strength to do what I'm doing, and I'm going to keep on doing what I'm doing. Okay, basically, I'm just bringing God's word to life, in my life, okay? I'm just bringing everything real. And I'm really, just amazed at what I have gone through. But everything here is exactly what you would call bad faith, okay? This verse here, Proverbs 26 verse 24, 26. Look it up yourself, okay? But it does refer to this, okay? So basically I'm just dealing with spiritual stuff on my spiritual side of things, and also legally, and why we have bad faith, good faith. And but we're talking about spiritually bad faith, somebody who hates you. We're talking about you can't detect them, they're in your space. But the point is, once your privacy is gone and they've studied you, these people are actually in your space. So it's either they're for you or they're against you. And it's very hard to detect. But everything that goes with bad faith, these are all the things that a human being will do. Okay? Everything. And there's no book in the world that I recommend other than the Bible, because I've proven it for myself. All right, I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but if you don't know what a conspiracy is, there's nothing that God's Son, Jesus, actually went through that, no, he was the truth. But, if you don't know what a conspiracy is, what everyone did to him was a conspiracy, okay? So if you read your word correctly, he was still a human being, though, even though he was God's son. But back in those days, I don't know how the laws were. Obviously, they weren't up to date like how it should be nowadays. But the system is diverted. It's taking away people's liberty. It's taking away people's legal rights, people's dignity, and then they're killing them. Okay, so basically what they're doing is the same kind of thing, but they're using misuse of devices. There was no such thing as technologies those days, obviously. So I'm just using that as an example, right? But obviously, he was so innocent. He did nothing but spoke the truth, and they killed him because out of jealousy, out of envy, or, for whatever reason. But that's what happens when people listen to gossip and don't know the person themselves. And, then we've got as soon as, we know some religions, want to take over other religions, or some cultures want to take over some other culture. So with the misuse of devices, it's really easy to do that. And the fact that they're actually using my life for illegal Commonwealth games without my consent, I resent that. I don't consent to that. And I'm exposing that. Okay, it's because I know that people have actually used God's word to judge me. Okay, but my own journey, that's between me and God. Whatever happens in the future, that's my decision. I've made the decision to not go and do that anymore. I've made a decision. I'm going forward. Okay, and I'm not forcing myself on anyone. But unfortunately, if you're biased and prejudiced in court, you are actually committing a crime. You will be made accountable for what you do when innocent civilians come through the court. I think it's disgusting what they've done to me secretly. The fact that I've told everything I have said is true, and they've made me beg for my life. I've basically asked them to help me. If they had wanted to help me, they could have helped me. But this whole new system, whatever everyone wants to call it, it's just a money laundering system. Okay, and they're actually using substitutes and diverting it to them and then deceiving the public. So they're living my life just like what they did to Henry Cavill. And that's why I'm denouncing Natalie, and I'm still denouncing her because it's all about money, okay? They want to steal everything about the originals and make it for them for free. So that's evil, okay? That's bad faith, that's deception, that's fraud, and that's what I've been used for. Okay, I'm denouncing this video clip, okay? I'm just using this. I believe God's just using me for an example. Okay, this is Natalie here, and this is the fake Henry Cavill. So you notice my name is mentioned in there. See, I've used my name up here. Henry doesn't have long hair, guys. It's not him. It's the public deception that I'm standing against. See, this guy's wearing green? People in my space are doing the same. Representing Natalie. So that's why I'm denouncing all those women. So I go back to that. I'm denouncing all these women, Moana. Basically, I feel like we're coming to an end of a vision. Why I believe my vision is already over in as far as at the church and everything. So I'm just going forward. I have no intentions of going backwards, okay? It's too dangerous, but I believe I'm right within the centre of God's will for me. Whatever the outcome is going to be, but I'm basically exposing the corruption and this new age system that is actually illegal, okay? So I am denouncing all that. I'm denouncing all these women, Amy Denton. Thing is, some of these women, some of these women do end up, like how it works with the government, another agency will come, arrest, and then these people either end up going to prison, and then they use name suppression, and the victims don't know, okay? So heaps of people have actually committed serious crimes within my space. They're either been arrested, or they've committed suicide, or they've been tipped off. They go on a run live on the other country. So from negligence and being reckless, a criminal alliance builds up. But they've coded me so everyone around the world can see the game, and that's what's happened. That explains my environment, how at times it hasn't felt safe, or why people act the way they do, and why they use the Mental Health Act on me was all part of it. So whoever's the mastermind behind it, it's all about money laundering. It's the rich man's game, entertained by the game, and it's so I'm denouncing that, okay, for the sake of people like myself, who are not into, we're talking about sensible people, but they're taking out some pretty innocent civilians. I mean, it's like it's a rich man's game taking out another rich man, okay? And they've met their match, okay? And I think I've got everyone's attention of how it actually works. Okay, so just for the record, for corruptions for judiciary, it's 14 years, I think it is. But it's 7 years for the court deputy registrar and any other members, okay? This includes managers, this includes members, Okay, but corruption for a judge, I think it's 14 years. Just one moment, let me check. Okay, so corruption is 14 years right here. There's a law. Okay, when I did my job, I had never once made a wrong decision. I know as part of a court duty register, you get pressure from the Crown, and then you get pressure with whether the Crown is a defendant, or the plaintiff. The whole idea is you don't, you're as a court duty registrar or a registrar, you're not the judge. Okay, the person that has to make the decision, depending what it is, the final decision is made by the judge. Okay, so in cases like mine, everyone will get ordered according to their entity of their job description. Okay, so for those that don't know, the judiciary is a separate entity and the court deputy registrar is a separate entity. But what I have found for the game, they've got a third party. That's what they've used me for. Okay, they've linked themselves to somebody in my family, so or people within my family are being used historically. Okay, I'm talking historically, so you've got to go back to 2009. It just means the mastermind of the game have not been caught, or people haven't realized that what they're actually doing is pretty serious. So in cases like mine, if I don't make it, a competent criminal judge can arrest the civil judges, okay, because criminal cases overrides civil cases, okay, especially as serious as mine. We're talking about real serious offences, and money laundering, where they're stealing, using me and then stealing and giving it to members of the family or giving it to other people. That is what the rich people in government are doing, okay? They are using their jobs, and then they're coding, and then they're using gangs, okay? And I'm not happy with what Labour did in their trading and influence with gangs. I have never had anything to do with gangs in my life. I've never been completely involved in any. I've known about it. My ex had a lot to do with it because that was his life before I met him. But I do know enough because, of my court cases I've taken and how it works. And I don't agree that they should be trading in influence with gangs because these people are warlike. And we're talking about global gangs, okay, mafias. I mean, these people are paying gangs to stalk. And the gangs are getting rich from breaking the laws, okay? But that's what happens, with corruption, that everyone uses everyone. But when it comes down to serious crimes where people are dead because the system is corrupt, or people, but that's how it works. The whole idea with the public safety is at stake. So I'm just exposing that. Okay, so at this point in time with the courts, I have right now there is actually two there's two councils. Okay, they know that I've got my cases gone live because I've had to. All right, I don't believe in human sacrifice. Okay, so I don't, even though I know Jesus gave up his life. But some people are so, that's illegal in any generation, okay? And I have not, I don't believe in human sacrifice, okay? So quite obviously, I have no intentions of getting murdered or commit suicide to please other people, okay? I'm going to keep fighting this journey until everything's made right, or, just for how long ever God wants me to go through it. But trading in influence is 7 years in imprisonment, okay? And I know that some of the barristers and the lawyers are from civil, okay? They have no idea because they are only familiar with that environment. So a civil judge and a criminal judge, their mindset is different. Okay, criminal judges are about criminal laws. Civil judges are only about civil judges. You can tell that even by reading their judgments. Okay, and I've done the indictable cases, serious fraud cases, murder cases, and that's where my experience come from. So when I did civil jurisdiction, it was absolutely a different kettle of fish, and that's the same for summary criminal. Okay, completely different, absolutely completely different. You can't compare the same. So I get really concerned that plaintiffs are up against the Crown, and I can just tell by reading the judgments that it's very likely that they're trying to fight for a serious wrongdoing, misconduct, like there's actually a criminal case. It doesn't even belong in the civil, like my case, and the judgments that are made. I can just tell by reading the judgments. Okay, and I know that's really concerning. The laws do allow the cases to be transferred to the criminal jurisdiction, because we're talking about internal corruption. We're talking about people internally abusing their jobs and, using it for the wrong reason. Okay. So at this point of time, we have two counsels for Crown for IPCA on record. Why I say that is because the first Crown has not withdrawn, which is Karen Ferris. All right, she hasn't withdrawn. So on record, unless she's withdrawn properly, then she's still on record. She's still the lawyer. Okay, so then on the 10th of July, IPCA has gotten a new lawyer. So he's come on board. I've put in a memorandum to the judge in regards to his memo for the courts to confirm who is the lawyer. Okay, I understand where counsel is coming from, this new one, but I know I'm coming from the plaintiff's point of view. But what I have found in my case frustrating historically is the court deputy registrars have sided with the Crown immediately. Okay, they don't care. No, they're obviously on their side. I know that they're trading in influence. I know that the decisions are biased and prejudiced, and it's a tactic by the defendants, which is the Crown in my case, to win, so they don't lose their job. Okay, because what it usually means, they could go to prison. It means they get sued. Yeah, it's big stuff like that. So that's my predicament, and that's what they've done to me. And at the same time, they've taken advantage of using me for money laundering and stealing. Okay, so my case goes back to Unison Dance Crew. And with what I've just showed with what Henry Cavill and denouncing Natalie, here's this man, the original. We're both going through the same thing, but different situation. I have reason to believe that while I was being pinned down in my situation, going back to Unison Dance Crew, other people were secretly enjoying, they, no doubt there's a very possibility, I believe, that they've split money, they've obtained money that's not theirs, and then they've split it up between each other and lived the good life. Okay, that's money laundering. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Okay, and you can understand why everyone's doing what they're doing to me, because it's somebody's family member. Okay, it's somebody's, they're all linked to somebody, and they don't want them to go to prison, or they're trying to save their job, and they think that they can do what they're doing so they can get a promotion, or maybe somebody has paid them money. Okay, that is bribery. That's called bad faith. So at this point in time, there is 2 counsels. So I don't even know who's going to turn up at the hearing on the 8th of September. I've actually invited a lot of people to come, but what I have found is that my whole environment is contaminated. So everyone is involved. Okay, somebody is stopping people from supporting me. So it's quite clear I'm the isolated person, and all for the wrong reasons too. Okay, so I have, let's see, let's go in here. So this is the current case officer. I've had so much problem with her, but I know it's all part of the game. Okay, to let everyone know, that what I'm up to, but they think that they're doing themselves a favour by doing what they're doing. Okay, I've been frustrated and I've had to email the team leaders and their superior because of what she's not the only one. Others have done it. Okay, there's been about 6 or 7 court deputy registrar. So she sent this out, okay, on the 26th of August, which is just recent. And this here was in regards to Karen Ferris, the first defendant. Okay, I mean, and she's put in there that I have not filed this, I have not filed that. Yet I have responded to let the courts know and ask the judge to make a decision to confirm about the new counsel. But when she sends stuff like this, that means confirms that Karen Ferris is still active. So she's actually sent out, I didn't do this, not filed, I didn't filed, because the Judge Sussex has actually made a direction, but she did not. Judge's direction was for Karen Ferris to do in a self-defense, but she did no self-defense. Okay, instead, a new counsel came on for Crown. So I've put all that in memo, and I have not had any response from the judge. So obviously she's not either giving it to the judge or she's making a decision. But now, because I've been like letting the new counsel know, like the new counsel has the memo, I've been keeping him updated. I understand where he's coming from, and we've been corresponding back and forth with the lawyers, because that is what we're supposed to be doing, arguing with the lawyers, okay, not arguing by making up our own thing, okay. But so I've kind of got back to him that this counsel has not withdrawn according to the court records. They're still legally still the Crown, because they have to withdraw, okay. Maybe the defendant's gone to him and said, oh, she's left, I want a new counsel, blah, blah, blah. But the Crown, this new, Karen Ferris still has to withdraw. Maybe now she will come back. So it's a bit of a Mickey Mouse system. Okay, so on record now we have 2 Crowns, two barristers. Okay, and I've had the discussion with the team leader, Elton, at the courts. I explained to him, I says, now these 2 Crown, these 2 lawyers, I says, that's not fair, because I feel it's all part of bombarding me. They know my situation, but that's what they're doing to me. They're bombarding me with all kinds of things. If it's not the courts, it's work and income. So somebody's having fun bombarding me with all these things, and stuff like that. And then they speak kindly, and they all know that they're all guilty and all part of a game. Okay, it's quite sickening, to be totally honest. Okay, but anyway, so when she sends out this on the 26th of this month, it confirms that Karen Ferris is still active. So she's telling me, oh, you didn't do this to Karen Ferris. You didn't file an application on the 1st of the 25th. You didn't do this. And that was due because, that's on the judge's schedule. She knows very well why. Because the judge gave instruction for Karen Ferris to put in a statement of defense, but she didn't. She just disappeared. Then the new counsel came on board, but this here confirms she's still active. So I've already responded to all this, but this is my frustration. They're causing me stress, okay? They're playing games with my liberty, and they're breaking the law. It's also a sign that they're trading in influence and they're attacking one person, okay? They want to win a case by cheating, but this is the kind of thing I've gone through with the courts. It's also a sign I'm locked out, okay? Or people are trading in influence, okay? And as if it's consistent with the misuse of devices, that's what's happening, okay? They're helping the substitute. They're helping the likes of, Natalie Vasquiso and her imposter boyfriend, okay? So that's why I have to denounce it, because, it's so wrong. But now I can understand why, people go through what they've gone through, because I've gone through it. So this here makes Karen Ferris active. So at this point in time, our Mickey Mouse courts and our government with their games, there's two court barristers, okay? Two Crown civil barristers for this case. And that still makes Karen Ferris active. So the hearing's next week. So I don't know, she may turn up. And then we've got this, this counsel here, okay? I've responded to his application. The first one where he admitted some facts. And then even though he's active, the judge hasn't confirmed him yet as the barrister. Why is that? Is because the judge knows that the other counsel hasn't withdrawn. Okay? And they know that what I'm going through is pretty serious, so everyone's looking out for themselves. And I'm coming from the point of view as the other party. I'm also coming from the point of view as, with the lawyers. I'm a lawyer for myself. I don't have a law degree, but I am very qualified. I mean, I don't need anyone to represent me because I'm qualified to do it and I know my stuff. So, and I haven't consented anyone else to do that. But from the point of law, okay, we're talking about the laws here, the judge hasn't actually confirmed that this is the new lawyer for IPCA. The judge has not confirmed at all, okay? Meaning, really, I don't have to actually respond to any of his applications, but I did. I did respond to the statement of defense, and I've asked the judge to enter a summary judgment, okay? Now, the old court system, when a person's file, it's handled by a case officer. A case officer does everything. A case officer's case manages everything, okay? The case manage whether you need a waiver fee for that application. The case officers manage that. Not everything about the person is split up, okay? And they've done that to me deliberately for the purpose, for exploitation and to have the upper hand, okay? That's what they've done. So they've exploited me, my file. So it's a very serious slave-like system now, okay? So just from the point of law, really, because the judge has not confirmed this counsel, I don't really have to respond because the judge only made direction for me to respond to Karen Ferris. But I didn't respond to Karen Ferris because Karen Ferris didn't put in a statement of defense. And she's disappeared from the court case. But I did respond to this guy by choice because I thought I might as well just do it. And so I've sent it to him. And then he sent a second statement, okay, to strike out. Here it is, this one here on the 25th. So this new barrister that hasn't been confirmed yet by the courts, which is the judge, okay, the deputy registrar don't have that authority, okay. They do have authority to some things, but on the legal side of stuff, when it comes to serious cases like mine, the judge has to give the direction. That's why when I do my memos, my application, it is the judge that has to, that's the judge. The judge gives direction of what happens. So at this point in time, I don't really have to respond to this person, but I did anyway. I did respond to his application of statement of defense by entering a summary judgment of defense. Okay. So when this case officer sends out this email, and then she sent out some other applications of what I didn't do, blah, blah, blah. So I've had to kind of respond, yes, I did do this. But she's responsible for the whole case. But, the administration it shows that she's not receiving the documents that I say that I've received. So I had to send it to her. I've had to tell her it was submitted and signed by another court deputy registrar, the affidavits. But from my point of view, they're cheating. Okay? That's the Crown cheating in between. They're cheating in between, helping each other. And that's not fair. Okay? That's why I've had no choice but to do this. So, see, this is, I've responded to all, to all Karen Ferris's memo. I responded by memorandum because at that point in time I had to move out of my apartment, and then working income gave me such a difficult time. It was really, 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 really bad what they did to me. But it's all linking to the court case, okay? It is a trafficking ring. So right now, at this, I've actually put in a synopsis. Lucky for them, I gave it early. I didn't have to because the law says as long as I do a plaintiff synopsis argument before the actual court date. But I did it early because, and lucky I did, because I've read his submission and really they don't have a case. I'm not, and I told the Crown, the new Crown, I won't be responding to his application because I'll cover it all in the next hearing. Anyway, I'll leave it at that because this has gone on far too long, but I will continue with the court case. I'll do another video clip soon. So, yeah, I will leave it at that for now. Sorry, I realized the time on my